Hat hype, hat hype, hat hype. What's that sound in the background? I don't know if you can hear it. I can hear it. Ah, that's my phone. Somebody's actually calling me. Huh. Well, that's a really bad timing for them calling me at 2 o'clock Central European Time, which is the time right now. Welcome back to both me and all of you, I guess, because I've been sick for like a week and a half and then recuperating. So there's been another couple of weeks with no streaming, but we are once again back. And today we are starting on some parts for a costume. And if you have read the stream title, you know what kind of costume it is. It's a witch hunter costume. And we're starting with a hat, because why not? Because I like hats. I have the materials for it, and we're basically gonna make a hat from scratch. We're gonna make the patterns, and I'm gonna show you how I make hats, basically. And we have a nice sort of sturdy piece of leather here. We are going to uh, dye this in the end, because I don't have any brown, but I have a plenty of brown leather dye. So we're gonna take this. It's a little thick. I like this for the brim though. It's gonna be a little bit heavier, but yeah. And it's a bit worn. It's a bit broken. It's spotchy. It's perfect because we're gonna weather this anyway because it's for a costume. It's not like a new shiny hat we're gonna put up for sale. This is for a witch hunter who has been in the field hunting witches, heretics, and mutants and all that. The witch hunter setting would be Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar, basically. So high fantasy, steampunkish, you know. So we're gonna start by getting some sketching done, so we know what we're going for. And I didn't refill my water bottle. I will be right back. I need this to be full so I can keep drinking water. Of course, you can follow me. Well, you can follow my voice anyway, because you should be able to hear me even though I'm here. And while I am here, I'm just gonna quickly check on that phone. That is not a number I know, so I am guessing that's a salesman. So no, no caring about that. Right, mission complete. Water bottle is refilled. And we can get hatting. Okay, so the style of hat I'm thinking of is basically, I guess you can call it a pilgrim hat. It's spring in, see if you can we grab a better pen for this maybe? Yeah, there we go. So not like super duper high, but not like normal hats. It's gonna be a bit taller and wide brimmed. We'll make some patterns so we can test out how wide we want the brim to be. And there's gonna be like a hat band of leather or a belt, and there's gonna be like the belt buckle we can't do today. I haven't really. I might, because it's just more decorative. So I'm probably gonna 3D print this part. And then we're going to put some markings. We're going to weather it, but we're going to put some text and we're going to put some markings. I did some experimenting earlier. So you can see here, suffer. It's the same piece of leather. It's just been dyed. And then I filled in the text that I cut into the leather here. I just filled that in with a little bit of a darker color to make it pop out a bit more. This is what we're gonna do to your hat. We're gonna write little texts like "Suffer not the witch to live," "Burn the heretic," and silly slogans for witch hunters. Uh, Maybe on the brim. I'm also thinking about making some kind of a pattern like that. If you're familiar with the Warhammer setting, you might know about the twin tail comet. It's basically a comet with well, two tails, surprisingly enough, sort of thing. Uh, somewhere. It's They're called witch hunters. Their official title is actually Templars of Sigmar, or Templars of the Church of Sigmar, something like that. But yeah, they hunt the witches, mutant vampires, unhuman thingamings, basically, with sword and gun and whatever they need. So also this band, I'm considering putting some little holders on, so we can put, because I don't have them here though, but some small bottles like holy water up here. We're definitely doing a bandolier at some point with stakes and small bottles for holy water and whatnot. But we might have some on the hat like lucky charms. Oh, we could have like a little repository, and we can have like relics in them, like a little, make a little finger bone from like a saint or whatever. That would be cool. Then the text, it's quite it's very jagged, and it's made with a swivel knife. And I kind of wanted to, because when somebody made this hat, when it was new, this obviously wasn't there. This is just like this brooding, slightly manic witch hunter dude sitting on the campfire or like at an inn sometime, like carving with his own knife. So I wanted to look pretty crude, but he just, his mantras basically, he's just carving them into his hat and to his outfit as a sign of devotion, as it would be. So first we have to figure out the pattern for this. So it's basically two. The actual hat is two parts, and it's the crown, the top part, and then we have the brim. And for that we need a few things. We need our head size. I know about I know my head size basically, but the problem with a hat is, well, not the problem, but the issue, the thing with a hat is that it's not, your head is not a circle. Let's move the tiny little bit of leather away. Your head is not a perfect circle. It's a weirdly wobbly oval thingy. So what I like to do is to figure out where I put everything that I thought I had put out so I can have it ready. I literally went and found this thing that I'm looking for now before. Oh, it was too close. Let's bring you out a bit. Yeah, it's just some iron wire. Uh, you can also use this. I was thinking for the hats, because I wanted to kind of be stiff so I can do this with the text properly. Otherwise, I would have done it in a softer, slightly thinner, and therefore not as heavy material to wear. Hey, Dragonheart, welcome in. Welcome, welcome. How are you? Yeah, so but I decided against the other softer leather because, I mean, it's a little bit too red. I mean, I can dye that as well. We could go and get that, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I can go and get that. I'll get the other hat as well while I'm at it. So we have a nice chunk of that. Of course, the hat I'm talking about is not a witch hunter hat. It's just my hat actually. Just this. I am good. I'm super hyped about being able to stream again. So I'm all good, thanks. So, but yeah, this is made from a similar material like this. You can see it's a little bit softer, and when it kind of wants to collapse, so you kind of have to fluff it up a bit before putting it. Well, actually, I have headphones on, but before you put it on your head. Uh, of course, this hat is going to be slightly tapered, right? So this wouldn't be an issue because it would keep its shape a lot better. but it's a little bit too bright, and this is so soft and thin, so to actually cut this text and make it look good, I don't know if that's gonna work, but you know what? We we can always try. We can cut off a tiniest little corner of this somewhere. There's a knife. Thank you. So just try not to drop it. And we shall get my little swivel knife. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's one of these little handy things. It swivels, it spins, hence the word swivel knife, and you can just hold it like that, and you cut in patterns uh, in leather with it. Uh, let's make just the first letter, because and then we can compare. We have the other part already here. The plan is that the hat shall have a lot of his gonna. This witch hunter has at some point late in the evenings muttering to himself his mantras, and carving it with his knife into his hat. Slightly obsessive, maybe. All right. Let's, because right now you can't even see that. So I want to see how this looks if we dye this with the brown dye, and then we might have to brush in some darker paint as well. We want to be very careful now because leather dye is very pigmented, and it also is made to, well, literally, this is skin, this is skin. So you get this on your fingers, you're gonna be stained for a while. We'll take a sponge, quickly just soak up some of the paint, make sure that we close this one up right away. Let's just sponge the color on, because I don't think, I mean, it's gonna get lighter as it dries, and as the different parts of the leather absorbs the paint, but I'm very skeptical to that it will read very well, these cuts. Uh, I mean, if I open it up a bit, it's a little bit dark on the screen maybe. Yeah, I can see it a little bit. And this, of course, was uncolored, so the cuts, there's more paint when I dab it on, the more paint gets sucked into where you have cut it open, and that's why it shows off so well. And then I brushed in a little bit of a darker color. This, however, will not have that, and it will also turn very dark. And I kind of want this color more. So softer, fluffier leather is a no-go. I kind of expected that result, but it's always good to test if you can. Let's put this little tool back where it belongs, and then we'll get back to our metal thread. Because yeah, heads are not circles for the most part. If your head is circular, that's fine. Mine definitely isn't. So not just you don't just need to know the circumference. You don't because that's your size. But hats need to be oval, and you can just do an oval that it's that round, absolutely. But if you're making a hat for yourself, why not make it fit as well as you possibly can? I need some clippers for this, and oh yeah, we might need some thinner threads. So basically I'm gonna take a piece of this and I'm gonna wrap it a bit around my head, and we will get not only our size, but also the shape of our head. Another version that you can do is, of course, if you have a cast of your own head, you can make your templates around that. But yeah, so basically, we're gonna. This is a bit long, which is good. Doesn't That's not much of an issue. And if I'm unclear, if you have any questions about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it or whatever, feel free to ask. We are super duper ask a thing. Oh, wait, I don't have any mods here right now, so I need to do the work. We need to shout out people. We need to tell people. I don't know how many is here, but there might be somebody here who's not following. Spread all the things to all the people. All right. Better late than never, I guess. Uh, yeah, it's a bit big for me so far, but that's okay. I'm gonna have to remove the mic for a bit. I don't know. I don't think you can hear me from too far away, so I probably won't be talking too much. There we go. And this is now somewhat stuck together. I mean, you could probably pull it apart, but why would you? Uh, this is just our sort of. I'm gonna make about half this, and then I'm gonna actually for the pattern make it symmetrical because it's just easier to deal with. But yeah, let's. Oh, I put on the microphone again. Oh yeah, you're welcome. We are. I like shouting out other people, spreading all the things all everywhere, especially other cosplayers or creative people, for sure. Because everybody does different things, and everybody does the same thing sometimes differently. Because everybody has their own way of figuring things out. So yeah, this should probably be more like that because it's a bit hard. I don't have any good armature wire because if this would be much better to do with the easier to do with the aluminum wire, I think. Let's just get that onto a paper and then into a front. And this is basically, I mean, this is basically the hole in the hat. And we need to know that because we need to make a hole in the brim. We're going to take like kind of a big piece of leather. Well, we're going to start with paper to make some templates, but uh, the whole brim is just one piece. There's no seams in that. So there's actually three seams to do this hat. So it's not a lot of sewing either. Mm, I'd rather exaggerate. It's easier to shrink things down. I mean, you can, it's leather, so you can technically just wet it and then you can stretch it. I don't even have a pair of scissors. I need to go to my scissor drawer, and grab myself a small pair of scissors. And if you don't know what the Templars of Sigmar or Witch Hunters from Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar is or how they look, feel free to Google it. You know what? I could, because I have a Pinterest interest board that I made for inspiration things. Okay, so that's the new middle on the front, and we'll put an F, and then we'll put a back. It's better to make one mark too many on your patterns than one too few, because it's just easier to figure out where things should go. But the reason why I want this is because I'm going to take a big piece of paper. Here we go, roll of paper, and we're going to make the brim. Basically, we're going to huge chunk of paper, and then is that enough? That's enough. Just we're just yeah. The positive thing about having a papers on roll, you can get it in the length you need or want. But the negative part is, well, your paper is on a roll. So we kind of have to sort of stretch that over the table edge a bit. Let's bring you with me. If you just, and it flattens out a little bit. You're basically separating the fibers of the paper a little bit. Doing that. Uh, See if we can't make it flat. Okay. We can turn the shiny side up, I guess. Alright. And then we will, because there's no way the brim is going to be this big. There is no way the brim is going to be this big, but better to start with a too big piece. Otherwise, we're going to just have to tape things together in the end. I mean, that works fine. Just take a piece, a bunch of normal printer papers and just tape them together if you don't have any big papers. That's not the pen we were using. I guess we could take a ballpoint pen or a marker to do this so we can see the lines properly. But, you know, there we go. It's almost visible on camera. It's a bit bright right now because it's a big white paper. And all we have to do now is guesstimate, make our brim width, and we'll make it a bit bigger than we want to, so we can just shrink it down more and more until we're happy. So I'm thinking I want it to be like this from the forehead, maybe. So let's see how that will turn out if we do it all the way around. That is about, okay, let's do 12 centimeters then. this is the sort of tricky part. Try to keep it straight. Like, we could mark out the middle, and you can keep. Actually, let's do that. Just as we're trying to explain things a little bit as we're doing them. So let's do that. It's 22, so that's 11. And try to keep this angle here at a 90-degree angle. And then we have our middle. And then we measure 12 from the edge, making sure that we are at the middle. Do the same thing the other way around. And then whenever we want to make another one of these little dots, wherever, 12 from the edge, right? And making sure we're lined up to the middle. And then the angle doesn't really matter, because if we draw a curve here, it's gonna more or less, I mean, we're not doing this super exact, but it's gonna more or less follow the same contour. I don't know why I drew a line like that. We're just making dots. Okay, we're making dots, so I think we should go to the marker instead, because it's just easier to just dot, dot, dot. 12. And then when we draw that line out, the thing is, if this is super symmetrical now, we actually only have to do that because we can fold this in 4 and cut it out if we want it exactly symmetrical. And this shape isn't, so I'm going to do half, and then we will fold it in half. But doing it this way helps me keep it at a relative angle to the center, and it should produce a pretty nice and even pattern for the brim. And one more little dot right there, and then we'll dot there. And then we literally play connect the dots. Hi, welcome in. We're making the hat pattern as well planned, I guess. Just using the ruler as a way to get a nice crisp fold. And we can do it to the other side. And to make sure it doesn't slide around, you could tape this together, but also doesn't matter because this is going to get cut off anyway. Scissors or knife? Scissors, it's so big. Let's do it with a knife. Actually, it's 2 layers of paper. It's just going to be your tummy is okay and you're here. Well, welcome to here. Oh yeah, often when you do this, you end up with like a pointed end, and there is a little trick for that. How to avoid getting a, because you want it to be round and smooth. You don't want it to be unless you want it to be pointed, then it's just fine. But If you don't want it to be pointed, there is a little trick. And we are getting to it. So when you are cutting into or out to, uh, don't go like that. Go at exactly 90 degrees for the last bit. Oh, that wasn't 90 degrees. So it's actually flat, but it's just for such a little bit, and it's better. And that should, yeah, not get so pointy. We no want pointy. Right, let's cut out the middle hole. So again, don't go in at an angle, go in straight, and then start to turn or follow. One thing with doing a brim pattern like this that you have to consider is that this brim pattern does not have any seam allowance. So when you're marking this out on your little piece of leather, you need to add the seam allowance. And this is just because I want 90 degrees out. There we go. Also, this should be very much like this one, if we are correct. And actually, there's a little bit of flurp there, but not much. Because I want to be able to try this on as a pattern like this. But that's our brim pattern, so let's see if it fits. All right. Yeah, that fits. We have a brim pattern for the hat. And I'm actually liking the width of it. I think 12 centimeters was a good call. Yeah, if the pattern stays on your head when you put it on, I'm gonna call it pretty good. Just trying to get it to flatten down a bit, but that doesn't really matter. All right. Now we come to the funny part. Now we need to know how long this is because we need to also make a pattern for a cone. And that can be tricky. That can be super tricky, but it isn't. But it can if you don't know all the tricks. We did, when we did the frying pan a few weeks ago. Oh, here's the frying pan. When we did this little thing, because if you look at it from the side, this is a cone. This whole edge, this brim here on the this frying pan is a cone if you look at it from the side. So we actually made a pattern for that to, because you can't take a flat round piece. It has to be, yeah. Can be a bit weird, but it's not actually as hard as you might think. You can do it with all the science and math you want. You can also do it on your computer because depending on the angle you have, you might need a really, and I mean a really big piece of paper to draw this out because you can actually just draw this out. And we're going to need another big piece of paper, so I think we're bringing up the lovely little roll again. I don't know how much we need. Uh, we'll start by drawing the hat in full scale, like seen from the front, yeah? Yes. Let's leave the paper on the table. Let's do the little rolling it, pulling it over the edge trick to flatten. Ah, thank you for stopping by, and I will probably talk to you at another time on the championship Discord there. But you have a lovely day, you too. All right, so how, what do we know? Well, we know one thing. We know how wide this cone is going to be. That is what we know. We don't even need this. We can use this because this is also handy enough. Handy enough. Da-da-da. Has a line going there because we measured out the middle. So that's how wide the hat is at the base. And that is 16 and a half. That means 8 and 25 is the middle. And then all we have to decide is how tall it's going to be. Is 20 centimeters too tall? Oh, you know what? We're going to use a Mr. Stand-in here, which is my um, papier-mâché head, which is made on my head, but since it's made on the outside of my head, it's actually a little bit bigger. So it's really good to make patterns on because anything that fits snugly on this will fit perfectly on my head. All right, so 20. Is that too low? Might even be. Nah, that's pretty good actually. That is 20. And then we just have to decide how wide. Normally, when you make a hat like this, uh, because we're gonna get a leather piece that's exactly this size because we're gonna cut it out of a big piece of leather. But normally you need a bigger piece to make the top of the hat because you need the seam allowance. But since this is gonna be a cone shape, this top piece is actually gonna be smaller than this. So we're gonna be able to. So making a cone for shaped hat is actually good for material saving. Is basically what I'm trying to say. But I'm just overcomplicating it a lot because I can, I guess. I don't know. There we go. So if it was a cylindrical hat, it would be that. Of course, my head is going to be here, so it can't be too narrow. But I'm thinking that is a nice angle, maybe. And if it's too tall, it doesn't matter. We can just trim it down, both when we have done the pattern, but also once we have started with the leather pieces. So I think 20 might be much, but as I said, and that also means that we can use this a part like a centimeter of this for folding over to have a seam allowance, which means that's going to work out pretty good anyway. Let's just round this. Well, it doesn't have to round that. That was exactly 5 centimeters where I made the mark. Okay, so the top is 10 centimeters then. Okay, so that's how our hat will look from the front. Now, to make this into a workable pattern, we're gonna have to do some extra drawing, and we're gonna need to draw to about here. So we're gonna need a longer paper. But I think we can take just printer paper for that. Just tape it in place. Well, actually, we're gonna make a pattern, and I want it from the thicker paper, all of it. Um, we can start, but now let's just could have started this further down, I guess. But this isn't enough anyway. Because basically what we're gonna do is that we're gonna draw these lines out, all these two side lines and the middle line that I drawn here, and we're gonna draw them out until they intersect. So that's up here somewhere. Well, actually, maybe, because we don't need this. Well, we need a bunch of this bottom part actually. Oh yeah, we can do like this. It's gonna be a bit of a. I don't have to draw that. Messy taped together pattern, but we could use these two pieces and we can't cut from the sides because we're going to expand this pattern to the sides, but we can take away from the bottom part a little bit. Let's see if that does it. I mean, we could have done this with just one paper, sure. But where's the weirdness in that? Well, that's gonna be pretty pretty perfectly enough. Oh my, oh my. And then this should intersect around there then. Yeah, intersect right there. And what we have to do now is get a much actually because I kind of want to draw a circle here, but I don't think my compass is big enough. So instead, we're gonna measure out how long this is. That's close to 50.6. Yeah, we could do that actually. We could measure this out to here. This is very unexact now, but it doesn't have to be super exact. That's the whole thing here. I mean, because you can do this with, as I said, you can do this with math if you want to. If you're, oh, how am I gonna, this is gonna be annoying, but okay. I need to make myself a big whoopity whoops uh, compass for these bigger patterns, or make this on the computer and just print it. We could have just cut this out and put, because we're going to do this 3 times. We're going to do one on the other side now. And then, because you, if you have a compass that's big enough, you put one end at the top over here, and then you draw from that. So you get like a nice bend like that. And and if it's three times like that, that is your pattern for any cone. We can do like that. Oh, that wasn't straight on. And we'll have to sort of half measure this a bit with the, I mean, we could take some pieces of, we could actually basically take a ruler if we want to and tape something to it and use that as a compass. But we also only need to do half because we can fold it. We can do this one basically now and fold it and then take another piece of paper and make copies of this. There's a few ways to do this, I suppose. And I'm just freehanding this little bend, this radius around here. And then we'll do the same thing for this upper part as well. We'll see how long this is. That is 30.3. And that is 30.3. Go with that through that point and try to make it as even. Lucky for us, none of these edges will be visible in the end, I guess. Okay. But basically this part down here now, this is half our pattern that we need. So this we don't need the taped ugly stuff in the end because we can actually just remove that right away. Because that's just so we can get this center point that is up here. So off with you. And toss that on the floor. I don't know if you noticed that, but I pushed kind of hard with the pencil when I drew this line. So it actually made a small indent into the paper, which means it will much easier fold again along that line. Making half patterns is a excellent way of getting symmetrical patterns. And here we have the same thing. Depending on how you want to put the seam, you're going to need some seam allowance. So we're just going to add an estimate of about 5 millimeters, 5-6 millimeters or something. This will depend on if it's fabric or leather and how thick the leather is and so on, of course. And then try to go out at 90 degrees. Did I do that down here? Yes, I did. Let's toss that away. And now, as you can see, we have ourselves a cone. Well, it's kind of pointy because we have folded it. We're going to temporarily and quickly just tape this together and we'll do a test fit of the pattern. It's not super straight at the bottom because unless you press it down, which is as it should be, because it should only be perfect when it is as it should. Kind of flat, kind of good. Let's see. Yeah, you know what a cone is? That the head is not? A cone is circular, Pixel. All right. Well, I hope you're gonna feel okay. This became way too small because Pixel did not consider all the facts of life. He made a perfect tube, cone, which is circular. And as I mentioned earlier, heads are not. That measurement is 16 and a half. This is 22. And we made like a circle that fits, that is 16. We need to expand this. There are several different ways you can do this. One is to actually just keep going with this pattern because it should still work. Or we do it with a little bit of drawing and a little bit of math. All right. That is what happens when you're thinking your head is circular when it's not. So I hope you have learned that, kids. It's okay to make mistakes. So what do we need? I need a tape measure. I need to measure my head size. Actually, I know my head size. It's 60.5, but I still want to measure it just to be sure. If I could ever place a tape measure where they should be so I can easily find, which seems to be something that I'm really bad at. Well, I have these paper tape measures, or like one-use tape measure thingies. We'll use that. Hey, sausage. Hello. I'm good. I'm making a hat. I made a bad pattern, so well, I made a really good pattern for my brim, but for the actual crown of the hat, I made a really bad pattern, so we're making a new one. How are you? I heard you got a job. I heard you're a working person now. Is it the bakery job? Did you get the bakery job? Was that the thing? Because that would be awesome. I'm gonna take this off. Yeah, it is. All right. Nice, 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 nice. Baking all the gluten-free stuff and things. That is very cool. And as I said, 60.5. I remembered my head size. Because then we can draw a. Because if we have customer service, a bag, take some money and make coffee. All right. Well, put stuff in bags without messing it up is good. People like coffee, so that's also good. Nothing wrong with that. Getting people like caffeinated and fed. I'm just opening up a web page if you're wondering why this thing starts to lag. The Subject 87 cosplay turned out pretty well. Uh, Let me. I can do. I didn't make the finals. If you looked at the show, you understand. I totally agree with that decision of not putting me in the finals because, oh my gosh, some of that stuff. Some of that stuff. So, I don't know, maybe you did see this. This is on the Instagrams. But on the Instagrams, more importantly, there is a link if you want to see some moving pictures to my YouTube channel where I have a short movie clip thingy of him. All right. You can make a pattern for a round shape and fit it into an oval shape. You just need to know the diameter and then you have to pretend that it's round. Yep, that's it. So what we're going to do in full scale, we're going to draw out another one of these bad boys and we're going to do this one as the diameter of something that is 60.5 centimeters, and I don't like super duper math, so I'm gonna go I have a circumference calculator online here. Uh, six. Let's change that to them centimeters. So 60.5 centimeters. No, that's not right. Zero point 0.5 centimeters. It's 19.25 centimeters. 19.25 in diameter. It did. I'm still super happy. I mean, I did that in 6 days and 6 weeks. So this is going to be 1925. That's the important part. And then we'll decide how wide this is. And that's going to be still be 20 centimeters because that's what we wanted. We wanted this to be 10. Might do 12 now. So this circle can be deformed and it will fit in there. I just didn't think about it until it was too late. Too late. Okay, you know what? I got things and stuff. Uh, ah, yes, we really need a 5 kilo weight to hold down a piece of paper. Pooh. Go. No. Okay, do I need to get another one? I think I need to get another one. Why do I have 5 kilos weight? That's a very good question. That is a excellent question. I'll give you a little clue by showing you this one. Yeah. So they changed out some gym stuff where a friend of mine worked, and they had these broken machines, and he was like, "Hey, do you want stuff?" He always asks me if I want stuff and parts, and I said yes. And then this machine was there, and I just took as much of it as I could, and one of the things that I took was a bunch of these 5 kilo weights, which are really handy to hold down things with. I do need a shorter ruler to do this now, though. Something is butchering your. Is your internet under attack? You attack them right back. It might also have been because I opened all the things to get you the links because, well, my internet is mobile. Okay, 19.25. So 18, that's 9. That's 9.5. So that's 9.5, a little bit more. So if we start from. Okay. Oh wait, I can just I can just do this, and then I can actually use my other ruler anyway. Okay, it's one of those days. 19.25. Is that enough to middle? Maybe not. Okay. So that's 9, 9.5, 9, 6, 20, 9, 7, oh gosh, 9, 6. 9, 6 will be super good. Let's just keep it simple. And that's how tall you want it. Whoa, what? What? We're getting raided? The brush brigands are here! Oh my god. They are coming to, I don't know, be nice and friendly because they usually are. Hello, welcome in, brush brigands. Welcome to the stream. And hi. Well, I'm guessing not everybody has said hi yet. There we go. You come for the. I I have some left, but if you want some, you're gonna have to hurry because I'm running low. Just moving some weights out of the way. Thank you for the raid. And for you who didn't come with the raid, you click that link and you go and give her a follow and watch some of that awesome oil painting on miniatures. Not acrylic paints, oil paints on minis. Promise. It looks awesome. Go and check it out. So, how did your stream end? How far did you get on your little vampire? See, it's contagious. Now I can't say vampire. It's a thing today, I guess. Let's see what it says about 12. So we're making a hat pattern. If you haven't been here before, welcome in. My name is Pixel, and I do props and costumes and miniatures and terrain and scenery stuff and all the stuff. All the stuff is coming along pretty well. Oh, finishing it tomorrow. Didn't you start him today? That's nice. That's really nice and quick. That's awesome. That is awesome. Hopefully I will be able to check that out tomorrow then. So I'm making a, well, let's get our quickly sketch out. That's what we're making. We're making a witch hunter hat. So it's basically a very cone-shaped top hat thingy with a big brim. The brim pattern is already, we made that earlier today. So that's what we got here. So that's a big chunk of hat. And then we are making a pattern for the crown, as it is called. And we are doing that by drawing a lot of lines. And we're drawing a lot of, well, necessary lines, but not lines that are part of the pattern in the end. We're just fish figuring out the size of this and how to make it. And because it's cone shaped, if you're making a cylindrical hat, it's pretty simple because that's just a big square that is bent and it becomes round. But making a cone, witch burner, well, we can be witch burn the witch for sure. It's a part of what we do as a witch hunter. That's the thing. Yeah, so I'm working on a new costume because why not? It's if you're familiar with Warhammer, you might be familiar with the Witch Hunters, or as they are technically known, the Templars of Sigmar. But what they do, they hunt witches, they hunt mutants, they hunt chaos worshippers, and well, they're basically Inquisition, I guess we can call it. So that's a very pointy hat, but this part is not this. This is what we're going to do. This is the pattern we have. So what you do is that you take your, if you want to make a cone shape, you draw out your cone. We have that here. It's this shape, right? And then you extrapolate these lines, follow this sideline all the way until they meet, and then you draw a line in the middle until it meets those lines. Nobody ever expects a sigma machine exactly, and they should. Monty Python and the quest for the holy. I mean, well, they actually do have a grade, and they have questing nights in the old world Warhammer. So I guess that it all checks out. Okay, let's try and bend this paper a little bit so it doesn't roll back so much. It almost works. All right. If you have a really, if you do this on a computer, it's a little bit simpler. But if you have a really big compass, you can also just draw. So what you do is you draw a circle with that. That's the middle. You can't even see that. That up there is the middle. That's where you put your little compass down, and then you put your pen part down here, and then you make a huge radius like this, huge curved radius like this. That is this. This is the radius of the circle, basically. This, however, is not really big enough. So we are doing it a little bit different. Because you see, to make a pattern for something like a cone, uh, the pattern is basically going to end up uh, looking something like this. And what we are working with right now is this part. So from the actual cone, this little radius stretches out equally to both sides. So it's three times basically the. It's not really. I'm pretty sure it's 3.14. But yeah. So what we're doing now, because we don't have a compass that is big enough, is we're gonna say that is 54, 55, 56. Then we can. Oh wait, I wasn't 56. What did I say? 50, 54.6, not 56 pixel. So it's actually there. And since yeah, this measurement should be the same as that measurement because I used a compass. It's so much easier to do this in the smaller bits because you have a compass that you can work with. 54.6. All right. Now I'm so confused. Yeah, 54.6. Okay. There we go. Uh, so yeah, we're using witchcraft to make a witch hunter's hat because obviously doing math and stuff is extremely heresy. want to have a really big compass. I think I'm gonna have to make one, and I'm probably just gonna, you know, print a piece to put up there, and then I'm gonna 3D print something to hold the pen, and then I will put a long round wood dowel in between instead of having to make the whole tool or having to print the whole tool. Do the combination. That. But basically, if we do a radius, if we do a circle or a curve with that radius, we will get a. We have already done this, but it was too small because my math weren't heretical enough, I guess. Point 0.6. So now we're having to do this again. And we're just sort of 11 p.m. Yeah, but we are only at 3, we're just 10 over 3 p.m. here, so my brain can handle it, I hope. But yeah, this is much easier. You don't have to rely on that silly math if you have a compass that you can draw this whole thing with. But when you're making a hat, it's a little bit too big, I think, maybe. Uh, I should be able to do this like with pure math as well because oh yeah, we need to do it on the inner, on the smaller diameter also. I almost forgot because I'm a trained machinist, so we did some trigonometry and stuff, which is basically just counting silly little angles. 44.2. No, wait, that's not where we're measuring. We're measuring this one, the long one. 45. Okay, I like that. Nice and even 45. Let's go for it before math comes and convince me of other stuff. But having doing like a small thing, like when I did, if you want to see how it works with the compass, you can go back to the last stream before this one, or the no, a couple of streams before this one, where I made the foam frying pan. Because if you look at it from the side, this is a cone, right? It's circular and it has an angle, so it's a cone. And when you're doing it that size, and if the problem with this, because it got so big, is because we have, if the steeper the angle, the smaller, the closer this point gets to here, and the easier it is to draw. So if you want to make something that has like a 2-degree angle, a cone, it's going to be a really long cone probably, and the drawing you have to do is quite big. But in the end, this is the part that we're going to save, right? So if you do this on your computer, because you can just like make a point infinity away, you don't have to, you don't really have to bother about sizes, and then you just save what you need. So doing this on a computer is easier. If you have like Inkscape or Illustrator, it's like super simple. I guess you could use Photoshop. I just prefer to use vector-based a vector-based program. Why did you do it down there? That's where you're gonna be, Pixel. I'm way a framing pan. Yes, it's a framing pan. So you can, if you need a cosplay chef that's gonna go around and hitting people, you're gonna need a frying pan. It's just foam. Kind of deforms easily. So if you want to keep it realistic looking, you need to not bend it too much like that, maybe. Okay, Let's do this again. 34. Gosh, this is exciting, isn't it? No, 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 no. Too many lines. Okay, I guess you are right, Sausage. It's not the time to be dealing with math and geometry. Ah. Well, at least we didn't start cutting into anything before we discovered our little attempt of sabotaging ourselves. A good coating of metal will feel. Yes, indeed. Since it's going to be a symmetrical pattern, we only need to do half of it, of course. Supposed to go to there. Okay, that's interesting. I'm marking everything very wrong all the time today, it seems. Because this part, we don't need that anymore now. We have half our pattern. And to make it easier to fold it in the middle, we're just going to take this and we're going to take the pencil and we're going to really, oh, not that hard pixel. Okay, well, we really want to jab it in there because if you do that on a thicker paper, it's going to want to fold because the paper is now technically thinner there. Here we go. Crown pattern for Witch Hunter Hat version 2. Let's see if I did get it right this second time. But you know, it's important to make mistakes. That's how we learn. And I think it is important that we show other people when we make mistakes so they can see. Especially if people are new to crafting and making things, it's very easy to just look at pictures of what people have done and go like, oh my god, it's all so crazy, awesome, I can't do that. Because they don't, usually don't see all the mistakes being made along the way to get to that point in making a costume. Alright, that feels a bit more like my head size anyway. But you know what I didn't do this time? I did not add the seam allowance back here, so we'll have to think about that. We have to think about that when we are drawing this. And we are going to remind ourselves, not with the broken pen, because we need to sharpen that. Go and have yourself some dinner. Thank you for dropping by and taking the peoples with you. Always nice to see you, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow so I can see how the vampire goes. Woohoo! I could say vampire without hesitating. I prepared for it. Oh, breaking all the pens today. All the pencils and pens. Plus SA 5 millimeters. So now maybe I will remember. We hope so. I'd finish this tea before the brush brigands come and steal all my tea. Actually, I told them if they come by, I will make them tea, so I guess it's not technically stealing. Uh, why can't I say vampire? Well, I'm gonna have to refer to the dinner eating person. She was painting a, a vampire, and she, for some reason, didn't remember what it was called, like at all. So she was like, "I'm painting this a vampire," and I hesitated saying vampire earlier today as well when I started streaming, and I blamed her. So basically, just a weird joke because she in a short moment forgot how to say it, what the word was. It's a bit. Let's try it on. Wow, that worked out well. Much better Pixel. But it's a little bit. Yeah, so with the seam allowance, we're probably going to add a little bit more than the seam allowance just to make it fit in here. And we're going to have to add seam allowance on this one. Let's write that down. Yep, it's a big chunky hat. It's kind of, I made one of these hats. I don't know if you remember. I sold it to Lavette at uh, the thing invested was. I see now I'm forgetting everything else. Prologue is what I'm talking about. Of course. But that was made of the red one that I didn't want to make this time. I'm going to use a little bit thicker and sturdier piece. And hopefully it will keep its shape. If the brim doesn't keep its shape as I want it to, we're going to quickly dip the brim in some warm, not super hot, but slightly hot water to make it set a little bit so it's not so floppy. We don't. You don't like How can you not like witch hunter hats? They're like the coolest hats. And it's not going to be this tall. It's actually going to lose a centimeter up here or so. What? But they're super top hatty, flurpy derpy cool. They're like the coolest hats. So that's how a conical pattern will look. Well, it is okay if you don't like them. I like them, and I'm the one who's going to have it. So, you know, it's okay. It's all okay. And then, of course, we're gonna figure out this one. But we have the width of it. That's 12, so we can just open up this circumference calculator again, and we can see how round that is, and then we'll make an oval of that shape. Is it the height of the hat? Is it not pointy enough? Is it not a wizard hat enough for you? Maybe that is. I don't know. Is the brim too wide? We don't know. All right, let's bring. They are brimming with personality. Yes, they're the pinnacle. They're like the crowning achievement of headwear. Let's bring out the leather and find ourselves some good pieces. You need a list of what to shop. Okie dokie. Sorry for any inconvenient lag for people peeps. I'm just opening up a little chat. A little bit of shotty shot. What do I need? Oh, then I need. I actually found some blades here, so we don't really need to bead, but I need shoe polish, brown, and black. Uh, yeah, I think that's it. Shoe polish and some dish rags because I need to. I don't have a dish rag for the kitchen here, and I need some new dish rags that I to use for my wet palette. You have gotten yourself a messenger message with the two, well, technically three items because I want both brown and black shoe polish. Where are? Oh, there you are. Hello. Also, now I have a pattern for a hat like this. And we can just make it a lower hat if we want to. We can just make it a bit lower. Just all you need to do is cut out the same radii. Mhm. Icky. Ah, so, oh my God, I have cleared so many things off and it's still enough space. Once I get to be able to build a bigger table for doing stuff like this, it's going to be so awesome. I'm gonna build like a workbench, like this whole workbench, but it's gonna be double as deep and it's gonna be standing in the middle of the room over there. We'll probably be moving this the dish rags are going to be used for my wet palette, and it's going to be used as dish rag in the kitchen here. I use a dish rag for the wet palette, and my wet palette had been standing with water in for way too long, so it wasn't cute and cuddly anymore. And I love that it's so imperfect. It just helps us out with the whole weathering thing. So we're not going to draw on this side, we're going to draw on the other side, but we are going to remember the seam allowance. Let's flip it around because that's where it says seam allowance. And I'm just trying to find out the spots where I can place this down, and then I will. Ah, okay, I see, I see. Yeah, yeah. And we'll cut out a oh, nice chunk of this. That is a little bit more manageable than the whole thing. We'll start by cutting the one thing out. No, we'll cut both things out, and then I can just yeah, and then I can just roll this up, and so that's for that. Because then I can just roll this up and put it away. Can we get in between all of these holes and just use this whole part here? That would be pretty good. Is that going to be good enough? It's a tall order, but we can tape the pattern down, I think.